Right, this looks a bit better this time. So at least there's no sound cuts. So, let's see. Keeping fingers crossed, this time everything will be fine. And I just saw that we had a resub from Basic 1979. Thank you so much. Let me just start the chat bot here. There we go. Basic, thank you for the 37 months. That applause is for you. Thank you for your support. Apologies again for the issues. But the plan now is that we're going to fly the PMG 737 from Ajaccio. And we'll do the approach to Calvi, that circling approach. For those that haven't seen it yet. And then we'll go and fly the Fenix with that new scenario. So those that are watching the video on demand in the coming days and you're wondering, hey, why is he flying the 737? It's supposed to be the Fenix A320. Yeah, don't worry. We will fly the Fenix A320 in about 15-20 minutes time. I'll make it 30. So, what beautiful livery do we have? There we go. Right, so Lima, Fox, Kilo Juliet, Ajaccio. Do a daytime flight. We'll fly on the runway. Quick preparation. So that we get going. I don't need to have you waiting any longer. It's so weird. You know, computers sometimes are just so weird. Something just doesn't start up the way it normally does, and bam, you've got problems. Right, that's the other option. I thought it'd taken it, but hasn't. So we'll go back, control options. I need to put this to... ATC bot says hi. So I'm going to put this to the Bravo throttle quadrant. Didn't save. The sensitivity settings. There we go. So hold on, that's for the disregard. Hold on, for the yoke, I guess. Right, there it is. So I've dialed down the roll axis by 25%. Pitch axis is dialed down by about 14%. Yeah. There's something making a clicking noise. Oh, I know what. Hang on. Go back. There we go. That was it. Cool. Right, so quick preparations. Like we mentioned, FMC routing. So Lima, Fox, Kilo, Juliet, Lima, Fox, Kilo, Charlie. And let's go live weather. And then departure will be to the south. Let's just take one of these. Doesn't matter. We're gonna quickly go northbound, and then we'll go departure arrival, arrival there, localize approach, transition Ilru, execute, and let's just see. So fuel will take 4,000 kilograms, and payload will take, yeah, that's fine. Cool. So that's that. Then we go reserves 2 tons. Cost the next 20. 0 fuel weight. Cruising level, let's put 10,000 feet or something. Well, actually, yeah. That's fine. Disregard that. We'll do takeoff 1, selected 55, takeoff flaps 5, CG, and we'll take those speeds. So flaps 5. Alex, yeah, don't worry, don't worry. Again, we had issue in the previous stream where we flew to Calvi and in the iFly Max 737, and I had a scenery issue where the FPS dropped really drastically, and so I promised that we'd fly the approach here before we go into the Fenix. But don't worry, we'll fly the Fenix A320 in about 20 minutes time. Yes, yeah, so depending on the approach capability, what the airport had to offer, there have been instances where, for example, we had 150 meter visibility in Munich. Back then, 737 was our minimum there for the approach, and Cat 1 minimas I've had close to minimums. So definitely, you know, it happens rarely, but the longer you fly, the more likely you will come across these things sometimes, and that's why you do all the training to be ready for that. Cool. Let's quickly check the weather here. We've got 3056. No, we've got 1035. That's fine. What's your thoughts on Dublin Airport? Have you ever had issues? Anything like that? No. So I've been to Dublin many times, and actually about a week ago I was in Dublin. Have not had any issues. No. All right, let's go. Hey, knots checked. Yeah, I know it's much better FPS, but normally it's not that bad. I mean, I had 50 FPS all along. E1 rotate until we got to the island. Oh, that's right.
Positive rate of climb.
That's just, sorry, keep defaults. That's just me. There you go. N1 and LNAF. Flaps 1. That goes to neutral. That goes to off. And flaps up. So let's have a look where we are. So if we go directly to Ilru, we should be fine. So we should be able to have a look at some of the sceneries there. Newmark, all good, Newmark. Trust me, we'll fly the Fenix in a second or two. It's just in the previous stream we had issues with the scenery, and then we had really bad FPS. And so I did want to show you guys that circling approach in Calvi. I find it somewhat disappointing. Everybody's just watching and wondering how that circling is flown. Hey, Pale Ale. Well, this is from Flow. So Flow 42. Oh, it's Parallel 42, the company, and they made an app called Flow, and it has many features. So lots of stuff. Yeah, Flow is really, really good. Beautiful. Right, let's go standard. And so climb. Descend forecast. We'll go transition was 60. And there we go. Right, 109.5. I know the frequency there. 109.5. Transfer. 109.5. Transfer. Right. Here we go. So it's about 40 miles. Good. So I'll show you that circling again in case you have missed the preparations earlier. So, yeah, that's the same picture I showed earlier. The way we're going to show fly the circling. So there's the runway. We'll fly the localizer 18, break off, head towards that mountainside, and we aim for about 20 seconds outbound. Overfly the quarry, and then we descend, or descend a bit earlier actually, a beam here, and then just try to make that turn. Alright, let's start descent down. I'm going to go on heading here. Just give myself a little bit of... oops. For downwind leg there. And we'll descend 5,000 initially. How many miles is that? 30 miles? 10,000? Yeah, that's fine. Start descend. Inbound course 177. Unfortunately, I don't have time. I've got a lot of family happenings this weekend, so I don't have a chance to join that across the land. So let's prepare for the approach again. Quickly do flaps 40, auto brake 3, and just like before, let's go fix page. Lima Fox Kilo Charlie, and that was 177 degrees. Oh, and 2 miles for the circle. And there we go. So now we've set up pretty much the same as before. What's the difference between heading select and course? Is there a? Do you see that somewhere in the button or something, or? Because normally a course is something, a track line somewhere. So with regards to, let's say, a VUR, you have inbound course, outbound course. So that's a certain radial. While a heading is just a certain, direction, magnetic heading, for example, where you point your nose, and then the wind will cause a drift. So DLS. Oh, that course. Ah, okay, so you mean this course indication. Okay, so this is a fixed course on a, in this case for an approach. Start Sint Toolkit Pro. Yeah, it's always difficult for me sometimes to relate on, what they are referring to. These aircraft are complex, and sometimes I don't know which you exactly are referring to. So let me go and get the chart up for you. There we go. So that is a preset course. So it's referenced to a station, in this case a localizer DME station, and that is a fixed course. Reference to a magnetic direction, but when you fly this, you will have to adjust your heading
aboard the Captain Black Box
depending on wind, etc., to make sure you follow that course.
Please make their way to
that
the
is
first
fixed.
class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Hey, Trostbrot, that's really kind of you. Thanks for subscribing. That's a new sub. And a big round of applause for that. That's really kind. Thank you for the Twitch Prime, and welcome to the community. Yeah, so heading, as you can see here, we are heading, reference to magnetic north, 354 degrees. We have a wind from the right, so our course, so our track over the ground is pointing a little bit left of the heading. So we're drifting a little bit left of the heading at the moment. So later on, when we want to fly that localizer inbound, we have to adjust the heading depending on the wind, so that the course line stays on that inbound course. And that way we can track the inbound radial. In this case, the localizer. So let's go. And I think that was... no, Kilo Charlie, right? Kilo Charlie. So there we go. Calvi right now, 3 degrees, 1035 is set. And we'll go 3000. Level change. Let's go off. That should go away, actually, when you reset that. That's strange. Alright, recall, yeah. Air conditioning is checked, non-standard, but that looks fine. That's good, alright. One 177, the localizer course is, or the frequency is dialed in. So as you could see from the other flight, what you have to do is either you go and hug that mountainside a bit more, either that, or you just maintain a 30-degree bank turn to get onto the final. Because if you overshoot, like we did in the in P3D just then, in the iFlex Max 737, you can't regain that. At that low altitude, if you overshoot, that's it. That's an instant go around. You just do not have time to catch that again. Good, we're going to go directly to Ilru, execute, Belnaf, 3,000 feet, we'll slow down. Valentino, we're just doing a quick hop from, we took off from Ajaccio, because we want to refly that approach, which wasn't possible in P3D, because there was a scenery issue, unfortunately. So we are now in Microsoft Flight Sim in the PMDG, and once we've landed, hopefully successfully, then we'll go into the Fenix and do the new scenario, which I'm excited to show. Thank you, Valentino. Good luck.
Premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
We'll do our best.
BB711 sticks, BB711 sticks, thank you so much for all the content.
Sticks. Thank you so much, GiftTux, for your support. 22 months. Give a round of applause for that. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Here comes flaps 1. So all preparations complete. That is gone now. Fantastic. Autopic set. Speed buck set. Minimum. Oh, minimum. Let's go 1,700 feet for the circling. Cool, that is set. Flaps 5. We'll arm the localizer here. It's already tuned. Charlie Lima India 177 degrees, so that's all correct. Slowing down. And we'll descend out of 9 miles. Localizer captured. Heading 177 for now. And again, there's the runway. So I'm going to pre-dial 1700 feet. Gears coming down. And we'll start our descent to the minimums. Flaps 15. Pale Ale, I've not heard anything. It's become very quiet, and the only thing I've heard is that Armia wrote that one of the developers, he's situated in the Ukraine, and obviously because of that, he's currently having some issues providing the programming. That's what I've heard. Flaps 25. Yeah, I'm desperately waiting as well for some news and some updates. So that wind, if that wind stayed, then it would be quite good for us. But we should have a bit of tailwind on final. We'll see. Because that would have helped with the Alta Choir. That's fantastic. 1700 feet. Yeah, that would help with the base turn, because that's a challenge as it is. Right, do we have a... hang on, let me just get rid of the terrain. Do I have an extended center line? Doesn't look like it, does it? Continue. 2 miles. Alright. So let's go. Heading select. We're going to aim for the ridge line there, and let me find terrain inhibit so that we don't get any nuisance warnings. Manual fly. Trying to trim the aircraft here. Let's get flight directors off. Bird on. Ooh. All right, there's the runway. Here comes flaps 30. And about 135 on the approach speed. Pretty much the same as we had before. I think 140 was the prior approach speed. So what we're aiming for is the quarry on the other side. There's a quarry there, and we turn and descend with that terrain. So let's arm the spoilers. Armed. Good. Alrighty. Flaps 40. Final setting. 1,000. 1,000 check. We got the start sequence continues. Speed brake arm green light. And the gears down 3 green. And the flaps are 40. Green light. Oh. What? Where's that model that way? So there's the quarry. I was going to show you the quarry. I was going to try and look forward, but there we go. Now I'm going to go and get just a little bit more distance from the runway. There's the runway. So I'm going to start our descent here. Otherwise, we have absolutely zero chance of making it. But this, in Microsoft Flight Sim, you can see that quarry very nicely. So once we turn, we have to commit, and we have to like 30-degree bank turn. So here it goes. Once you do turn, add some thrust, so 30-degree bank, and that's the crazy thing about it. And there we go, 400. That should be the right altitude. So let's keep descending.
300.
30-degree bank. You have to maintain that 30-degree bank turn. Careful with the descent rate, though. Keep that coming around. It's that shadow there of our aircraft. There's the runway. We've got 3 red, 1 white. We're not doing badly. So let's just correct that path a little bit.
200.
But you get a sense of the speed, right? It's quite impressive. So we're on slope now. Look at that.
100.
Absolutely exciting approach.
50. 40. 30.
Now that's
20,
how pros do
10.
it. Yeah, like it. Come on, that's gonna be the reverse for some reason. But we got spoilers out. Autobrake is working. Got decel and manual brakes. Let's do the backtrack. Hey, Avenger, welcome. Yeah, we had a bit of drama with P3D, unfortunately, and the scenery. Hey, Meadows, thank you. Yeah, so there we go. So that's how you fly that approach, and it was important to me. I did want to show that. So that you guys have a, you know, an idea on how to do this approach. Come on, turn. There we go. No, it's not St. Maarten. We'll go there in a few minutes, guys. Trust me. I just wanted to show you guys the landing here, because it is exciting. MAN, thank you. Because people, I know that some or quite a lot of you have actually done the approach here, and you know how challenging that is. And if you look now from this viewpoint here, you can see how we fly along that ridgeline and then turn, and you can see the terrain falling down towards the runway. But initially, it's only like 500 to 400 feet above the ground, and a very steep turn, 30 degrees. So your pilot monitoring really has to, you know, keep his or her eyeballs on the indications. And then do call-outs if the bank gets, you know, too steep or speed drops off too fast. What, really? You did that flight in real life? What aircraft? That's brilliant. Yeah, it must be GA, right? SR20, nice. Nice! Yeah, that must be beautiful, man. Oh, I can imagine, yeah. Right, brake set, APU's available, shut down everything. Okay, guys, and that's how you do the approach here in Calvi. Hope you enjoyed that. Good. So what we'll do now, we're going to go without stopping the stream. We'll go straight to the next flight, so the Fenix 320. But I'll show you again the scenery here real quickly, so that you get an idea how close everything is cut here. So there's the quarry. That's where you descend, and then you see that terrain falling off to the final, and you do not have much room in that turn. So really got to keep on 30-degree. You know, if you go 25-degree bank or even less, that's it. You're not going to make that turn. So quite impressive. Well, it is French. I mean, well, you know that, but cool. So let me go and change everything. So we're going to set up everything for the 320. And Stark, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. So we are going to go with Fenix. We'll do... Yeah, let's do one engine out again. And we're going to go Tango Juliet, Sierra Juliet. And I think we can go real time in this case. Let me make a quick flight plan, just so we have an overlay. With KLM livery? No. Right, I'm going to park... The thing is, you're supposed to park at Delta 4, but it doesn't have Delta 4 really, so... But it has... Yeah, well, still, I'm going to go, otherwise it may not work. So let's go Delta 4. So I'm not sure at the moment whether or not that mission is published officially, because I had an update in the FSI panel yesterday, and for some reason that mission had disappeared again.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Duo Channel experience.
Oh,
Could
that's
new
really kind.
subscribers please
Thank you
make
so
their
much.
way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Cassiopeia gifted us up to Stark. Thank you so much, Cassiopeia, for that. That's really kind of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So here we are in the Caribbean. Now, trust me, enjoy the view, because the weather's going to get bad in a few minutes. So this is not how it's going to remain. Thank you. So Tango Juliet, Sierra Juliet, and I'm going to St. Maarten. Tango November Charlie Mike. And it's an A320 Fenix. And we'll take minus 15% extra fuel. Well, the weather isn't that good, so one go around we'll have for the fuel. Although, I have to say, if you call up the mission brief, you're being given the exact amounts of... Is anybody on YouTube? It's very quiet on YouTube chat, so hey, I hope the chat is registering. I hope you guys are there. When you load in into the FSI panel, if you go then to training scenarios, now for some reason I have two of them now because I think I manually inserted one, and then maybe one was there already. It doesn't matter. We'll select that. And you have session instructions. So there's a couple of scenarios available at the moment. There will be more coming, don't worry. And I will make a couple of for you guys. So you get a lesson plan. And yeah, hydraulic malfunction lesson plan. So you know it's going to be topic hydraulics. It does tell you what you're supposed to put into the aircraft with passengers, cargo, etc. So we're going to set up the aircraft exactly as it says here. And then we'll go from there. Right, let's start the training. So now FSI panel is doing its stuff. And while it's doing its stuff, let me set the weather. And you get a weather scenario as well with that, that you have to load into the sim. And so you can see the weather is actually pretty rainy, so not nice at all. You also get a routing. So let's generate the flight. And then, oh, hang on. Yeah, but I mean, if you take the sunshine, then obviously it's not going to be that nice. Oh, hold on. Let me just change something. I need to change that. Hold on. Don't worry. You'll get your picture back in a second. There we go. Now we can see the messages that we're going to get. So it says, please set the zero fuel weight CG in the MCD init page, set your takeoff speeds, and check everything okay with takeoff config. When ready, click acknowledge to start the training mission. So we're going to put this aside. I need to quickly do the control options. And then just make sure that we have all the controls available for the flight. Keep that. That goes to the Fenix. So many profiles already. There we go. And the joystick is already cool. The rain is fine. I'm happy that you see it that way. Oh, hold on. I've just started that, haven't I? Yeah. So, flight planning, load. FSO PC. We'll fly offline, fly now, connect. There we go. So, let's tap again. Then let's have a look at the time. Currently, it is 14:46. So let's say we're departing in about 20 minutes from now. So 15:05. 15:05. 20 minutes to go. Ground services. We'll leave that. And then, so we're going to set 140 passengers. So that's 140, 1.5 tons cargo, and the fuel is supposed to be 5.5. Load the aircraft instant. Then we'll go and load the flight plan itself. So airtime only about half an hour, but it will be a bit longer because of that scenario. So we'll take the Jets 1 departure out of runway, is it 08? Yeah, 08. Then to Juice, and then we'll fly the RNF 10 in St. Maarten. Also is this airport here. So we'll come back in case of a diversion. And yeah, weather is as follows. So weather is as in a briefing file. So we got here rain 6 miles, overcast 4,000, 31 degrees, and the altimeter is 3021. St. Maarten has 5 miles, wind 070 at 15, light rain, overcast 3,000, QNH 1023. And in case, because this is one of the things which makes this mission interesting, is that you do not know if you're unlucky and we have a rain shower right over the field or in the approach sector and you won't see anything. So it could happen that you may go missed on that on that arm of approach. And then we'll do the missed approach, go to Avaki, hold for 5 minutes, and then try another approach. And then once we are in the missed approach, there will be no ATC clearance given. Until then, everything will be given to you in form of a pop-up window with a clearance. So there we go. Should have been in APU, but we'll start the APU here. Isn't an issue at all. Good. One more thing to do is get the charts ready. So import ground charts here. Airport info, there we go. So we're parked here. We're going to taxi out via November Sierra holding point 08. Departure will take us onto the Jets 1 departure. So Jets 1 means runway 8, turn left heading 060 for vector to intercept the Sierra Juliet uniform radial 080 to Jets. So we can also do that and maintain 5,000 unless otherwise assigned by ATC. So 5,000 is set. So that there, put those on already. There. Cool. Right. So that's all set. For the approach later on, let me already go and fetch the charts for St. Maarten. So we know St. Maarten, right? Approach over the beach, where lots of people are standing. We'll land. There's a little bay where you can turn around. Unless you're a heavy jet, then you have to go right to the end. But we can turn here, and then we go Delta or Charlie to the apron later on. And the arrival. Well, we're gonna get a direct to the intercept later on, so approach RNF 10, and so that is that. Cool. Then we'll do the performance calculations for takeoff. So that's the final load sheet. We'll sync the weather, although that is a bit different, isn't it? So that should be 30. Actually, let me do that here. So that should be 3021, which is 1023. So let's do 22. Temperature 27. In the sim, it's actually 31, so we'll do 32. And the wind here in the sim is 60 at 15. And we'll calculate that. Good, so we have flex 68, flaps 1, down 0.2, 32, 35, 35. Oh, actually, let me insert the weights first of all. So okay, I'll check that in a second there, thank you. So we'll do 56.8 and 31.1. Fuel right now is 5.5. And let's have a look again. It didn't even complain, strangely enough. So that should be 1.5. Calculate. So 168. It's still the same values, so nothing major. Right, that is pretty much it. So, as you can see, it's just stopped raining right now, which is interesting. Just going to check the MCDU real quickly. So, init A page is filled out. Level 190 B page is filled out. Hold on. You get some. Yeah, sorry for that. I just had really dry throat. Needed to get something to drink. Right, so there we go. Yeah, I missed that as well. So wet runway. So 060 at 15. Temperature 32. And 1022. Right, 8. Anti-ice off, packs on. Let's calculate. Invalid entries. What? Oh. 060 at 15. Stark, there's something I had to ask you a few weeks ago. Yeah, there's no change, as you can see, still the same values, so all good. Helped by another stream to learn the ins and outs of the 320. One of the first landings was a real slammer, and after a bounce, he then touched down with his landing gear. Someone told us about the A320 having a system that raises the landing gear automatically. No, it does not. That is a myth. I'm sorry. No, there is no automatic landing gear retraction or anything like that. No. Whoever told you that was pulling your leg. So sorry, the chat didn't update for me on YouTube, but I've reloaded it. So there's a question from Ashraf. Hey, hello. Do you experience a problem with the rudder on landing where it acts like a tiller? Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, I have the same. It's very sensitive after touchdown, and I'm pretty sure it's a known issue for the developers. Hey, Ewald. Gabriel, can you? Let me see, Gabriel. Can you? I'm not sure if I can give you permission to post a link, but I'll try it. I mean, let's see if it works, Gabriel. No, we're flying offline, Maarten, because we're going to have a failure, pretty extensive failure that needs time to work, and obviously we are going to get instructions through the scenario here, so that way, you know, it'll interfere with VATSIM. MG King, hello. Yeah, Strack, no worries, no worries. If you missed something on the Fenix, what is it? A more realistic flight feel, but that has to do more with Microsoft. So weather radar, icing, that's what I'm missing here in the Fenix. Good. So, departure briefing. We are departing runway 08 on the Jets 1 departure, 5,000 feet. The sector in the area is 2,200 in a departure sector. And it's water, so terrain is not an issue, and we have a bit of extra fuel. As far as I can see, now that value here is going to be wrong, but we have about, I would say, 40 minutes extra fuel available. Let's see what the flight plan says. Flight plan says about 25-30 minutes extra. Taxi out, I already mentioned that. It's pretty straightforward. November Sierra holding point 08. There's one hotspot here. That's where aircraft will leave the runway, but today that should not be an issue, obviously. Engine out. We're just going to proceed straight ahead. Runway track 078 degrees to 25 miles to hold. Level off in 1600. Acceleration. Once the engine is secured and we are clean, then we'll go radar vectors and return to runway 08 here. You should put in final reserve, 45 minutes for flying. I mean, even the final reserve here. You mean this? So let's put 1.4, let's say, for Fenix, or 1.5. There we go. Good. And nothing unusual. Threats, weather. But apart from that, nothing else. Cool. So we're ready to go. So we've done everything. Let's acknowledge. And so push start approved. Well, we're going to start. We don't have to do push back. Start approved. Facing west. When ready. Taxi holding point 08 via Sierra. Well, that is wrong. That should be according to the weather that we have implemented here in that scenario. So 31 degrees there. Fantastic. Right, so cockpit preparation checklist, gear pins covers removed, fuel quantity 5,480 kilograms, balanced, seatbelts on, ADIRS, nav, and the Bible ref is 3021. Check, check, check. Right, that's the cockpit preparation checklist completed. Let's see, parking brake is set. Beacon goes on, fuel pumps are on, we have the APU available. So before start checklist, parking brake is set. Takeoff speeds, flex setting. Just get rid of these. There we go. So we have 132, 135, 135, flex 68. Windows are closed on my side. Closed on this side. Doors are closed. Fantastic. And the beacon is on. That's the before start checklist completed. Right. Click for engine start. Oh, hold on. One more thing to do. Set up my Bravo throttle quadrant there. And now we're good to go. Engine 2 start. You updated to latest beta and it deleted all the settings, oh no. Ozzy, you were in the earthquake in Turkey? Well, I was quite shocked to hear all that, yeah. I mean, this is, you know, dimensions of a tsunami in you know, Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, some time ago. Sort of a really catastrophic natural disaster. Oh no, I hope they get that fixed before they release to stable. Yeah, I can relate a little bit. I mean, I didn't have anything as catastrophic, but I had an earthquake in Manila in 1999 or 2000. That was 6.7 on the Richter scale, so it was less drastic as people had that in Turkey and Syria. But man, that was scary because it felt like it was life-threatening. So I can totally relate with that. Right, flaps 1. APU is off. We'll do the flight control check. Hold on. So let's do. Just get that right here. So full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, and the rudder full left, full right, neutral. So after start checklist, we have anti-ice off, not required. Obviously, ecom status checked. Pitch trim is about 29.9%, and rudder trim is neutral, and that is the after start checklist completed. All right, let's taxi out. Let's go. Brake check. Brakes are working. Hey Sanders, good evening. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Now, this is one of the strong points of Microsoft Flight Sim, the dynamic weather. So, as we just started the mission, it was raining. Now it has dried up again. And when I practiced the mission and checked everything was working, I had really bad rain showers. And so we'll see how that goes on the approach later on. But you gotta love it because, I mean, you know, in these conditions, you don't know what to expect. Taxi checklist. Flight controls checked. Flap setting. Config 1+F. Radar predictive system is on and auto. Engine mode selector normal. And ECA memo takeoff no blue. And that's the taxi checklist complete. Hey, Mark. How you doing? Glad UK. Welcome. It has, yeah. Weather radar, well, I mean, it's not working in the Fenix yet, I think. Well, the problem is, so Irish Wheels, it doesn't work with the scenario here. The reason being is that in order for the FSI panel scenario to work, you have to do as you instructed through the panel. Because otherwise, if you don't hit those gates, then you won't progress to the next instruction point. That's the important thing. So I don't normally have an issue flying online with failures. But here today, that's just not possible. Also, what I normally do, Irish Wheels, if I plan a bigger fault scenario, then I will contact ATC prior to the stream, prior to the flight, so that I can check with them if they are okay. Or you may have some very, very busy events sometimes, and then they don't like you to come in with emergencies, obviously. But I mean, if you ask prior and they give you, the okay, then that's fine. Lovely Hercules there. Look at that. Nice. GG. Oh yeah, I was going to go and dial in. And there comes the next instruction. So. Clear line up and clear takeoff. Runway 08, passing 1000, turn left heading 060. The winds are 060 at 14. So passing 1000, left heading 060. Acknowledge. Good. So line up checklist. Cabin crew prepare for departure. Takeoff runway 08, full length. TCAS, TARA, and the packs are on. And that's the lineup checklist completed. There's one more thing I wanted to do, and that is to set Sierra Juliet uniform. Okay, guys, are we ready? I hope so. So I am. There we go. Let's go. Wind a little bit from the left. Take off. Man, Flex 68 SAS runway auto thrust blue. And we have some engine noise. GG.
Welcome aboard
MAN.
Captain Black Box Duo Channel Experience.
One of us is
Can
checked.
new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight infotainment will be served.
V1, rotate.
Thank you.
Pause the climb. Gear up. Now, let's select heading first of all. Heading. Autopilot on.
Welcome aboard the Captain Black Box Duo Channel experience. Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class
So passing
cabin,
1000.
where complimentary drink,
Heading
snacks and
060.
premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Thrust climb. SRS climb. Auto thrust. MAN, thank you so much for your kindness. Gifting 2 subs to Astrior and to Irish Wheels. That's really kind. Thank you so much. As always, MAN, thank you so much. Irish Wheels, you just started loading the Airbus yourself. You've been a PMG fanboy for years. The Fenix, wow, I can't believe I didn't do it earlier. It's incredible how well it connects to SimBrief and the game. Yeah, indeed. Absolutely agree. You know, Microsoft Flight Sim has a lot of shining moments, a lot of cool stuff. Okay, so there we get instruction, climb flat level 90, acknowledge. 90, it is. Open climb, out blue. And I want to do that 080 radial. So for raw data navigation as well. There we go. S-speed, flap 0, speed is checked, flap 0. Disarm the spoilers, get the nose gear lights off. So one thing you can do now with the Flow app, you can actually change the speeds, how you move around, and how you can pan around.
Could new subscribers please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks and premium flight entertainment will be served. Thank you.
And Glider UK coming in 48 months reset, 4 years. Thank you so much. Right, new instruction, turn right heading 120 and intercept the radial 080 to jets. So 120 and I have pre-dialed that radial, so intercept that to jets. That is acknowledged. Transition level is in, I'm just going to find something here, 18,000. So there we go. Initially 18,000 feet QNH. Love the cloud layers today. Look at that. He did a great job with the weather. Looks so nice. Right, radials coming in. Let's intercept. Oops. Out star 90. Zishka, again, I don't know. It happened suddenly with an update from Microsoft. It is annoying, isn't it? I honestly don't know at what point that happened, but yeah. Hey Franz, how you doing? Nice to see you. So here we got a little diamond, a green diamond. It's a track pointer. So the wind is a little bit from the left, not much. So the yellow line there, that's the heading, the nose of the aircraft heading. And that track pointer's almost there, so we intercepted that radial very nicely. Let's see, that adds up pretty much with jets. So what I'll do is I'll go direct jets now, insert NAF. And then we just wait for the next instructions, or, you know, or the failure, whatever happens next. We don't know yet. We shall see. Yeah, absolutely, Assault Wings, right? I mean, you can see some holes on the top layer there where the sunlight comes through. Brilliant. Yeah. Really nice. Oh, there we go. Climb level 150. Thrust climb, open climb, out blue, 150. Fenix versus Tolis. What do you mean, Drax? Who's better, or? I mean, it's tough to say who's, which aircraft add-on is better. It's more a matter of, which add-on makes, is more enjoyable for people. And I can't speak for everyone. Personally, I enjoy both, especially in the Tolis with the shared flight. That was just brilliant. So, let's do the rest of the items here. So, RatNav, got to clear that out now. Secondary, copy active. Fixed info was clear. Well, open climb, you can only use open climb when you're in heading mode. Now I could go managed mode again, yeah, so we could go managed climb out blue, that's fine. Yeah, but Drax, I need to see and check whether or not it's stable. And the problem is if it desynchronizes and you can't resynchronize, it's a nuisance. It's so frustrating. Currently we're still under the sector. It says transition is 18,000. And then later in St. Maarten, right now we got to level 190. There we go. So 190 it is. So 19,000. And here in St. Maarten we have about 60 for the... look at that, coming into rain now. But it's still warm, 22 degrees. Oh, I have a feeling we're just about to get the failure any minute now. The failure itself is interesting, but it's not something people will struggle with. But it does give you nice practice how to use the ECAM and how to use the procedures, where to prioritize your tasks, etc., etc. So, but it allows you as a single pilot concept to do all that. I will definitely pre-order the F-15. Yeah, I affirm, absolutely. So. No, that should be the case. That's nuisance as well. So let's go standard. No, so Drax, the ATC that you're getting now, that comes from the app here, from the training scenario. So the FSI panel. That's where you get the instructions from right now. Out start. Ah, look at that. Beautiful. MG King, you notice the Fenix, so when you go around nav and do a direct with inbound course, suddenly everything in the flight plan is deleted and you can't even click on destination for approach. Really? Okay. Yeah, I've heard that before, and I think actually I had that as well at some point. I know what you mean, yeah. That looks brilliant. It is a bug. It shouldn't happen in real life, so... Hey Max, how you doing? Brilliant. Okay, there's no time to waste. We need to go ahead and prepare for the approach and everything. So the weather in the sim is given to you by the app, and it says that the QNH is 1023. Temperature is 32. And the wind is 70 at 15. Oh, careful. Just need to not oh, there we go. Master caution. We have hydraulic, green reservoir, low level, and there you have to be quick to avoid a overheat condition transferring to the yellow system. So PTU off. Current TAT is plus 16 still. And then green engine 1 pump off. Has a fault light in it, so that goes off. And so now secondary failure, green system low pressure. Alright, we check the modes. We have normal law. Right, green double lines there, normal law. Autopilot is still engaged. Everything's normal, apart from the hydraulic loss there, green system. So, no more action items. Clear hydraulic. Press once, clear. Wheel. Right, so in-up is normal braking. However, we have alternate braking on the yellow system available. And if that fails, we have acupressure 3000 psi available as well. Auto brake is in-up. Clear wheel. Flight control. So the green system, so the green hydraulic jacks are in-up. That means we are losing spoiler pair 1 and 5 on both sides. And we're losing one aileron actuator on each side. But we still have the blue ones, so the ailerons will work perfectly normal. Pitch trim, we've lost the green system, so it will still trim on the yellow system. And that's why we still have stabilizer trim. All good. Elevators left and right. Right ones, no loss of any actuators. However, on the left side we have the green actuator loss. But the blue one will take over, and so we have normal elevator deflection. The green system for the rudder has failed, so we still have blue and yellow. So normal rudder as well. Clear flight controls. Status. And that's where we stop decam. Right, so just stop decam. Question is, at this point, is there a way to reset any systems? Is there anything we could do to improve the situation? Is there anything that tells us to land as soon as possible? So maybe we would need to do a quick first fact-finding and option solutions finding. Or is there no time critical issue right now? And from what we can see, it doesn't say land as of amber or red, so that's not an issue. We have normal fuel flow. However, I think it would be prudent to talk about some of the issues we're going to run into later on. So, for example, the landing gear will have to be dropped by gravity extension. Right? The landing gear operates on the green system. Green system has failed. There is no backup hydraulic system for the gear, so we have to use that alternate gear extension. So by gravity, the gear will fall down. But once we've done that, we are unable to raise the landing gear again. And so with the landing gear out, we're going to have a lot more drag. So I would say that probably if we go to St. Maarten and land there, and we have to go around, we can't raise the landing gear, we will probably not have the fuel to fly all the way back to our departure airport. So this is something in real life where I would maybe think about returning to our departure airport before lowering the landing gear. So I would get the weather for both airports, and then already do a, if you like, a quick foredeck, as we say, where we look for facts, look for options, do the risk and benefit analysis, and then make a decision and then execute that. So nothing wrong with thinking about this prior to going through the status. Let's simulate the weather in St. Maarten is much better than in our departure airport, so we think it's, you know, safer to continue straight on. So we shall do so. So status, continue ECAM read status, landing gear, gravity extension, and then landing distance procedure apply. Well, that has to do with all the loss of reverser and spoilers, etc., and normal braking. So that's what we have to calculate with in the EFB in a minute. So info is altered yellow braking with anti-skid is available. Slats, flaps will go slower than normal, because the green system normally powers both the flaps and the slats, and they're being backed up by blue system for the slats and yellow system for the flaps. So now we only have blue hydraulic available for the slats and yellow for the flaps. They will move, but they will move a little bit slower. So that's a consideration we have to take into account for our approach planning. But they will drive out completely to, you know, config 3 or 4, whatever you want to do. The max approach capability is Cat 3 single only. So we could still do auto land, but on a Cat 3 single only minimum. In-up systems, green hydraulic, spoiler pair 1 and 5, Cat 3 dual, in-up, normal braking, in-up, auto brake, in-up, landing gear retract. Talked about that. Reverser 1 is in-up, and then a green engine 1 pump in-up, and the yaw damper 1 in-up. Right, we still have yaw damper 2. Tracks. And so that's all there is to say. So remove status, ECAM actions completed. That's very important. Now we have finished everything with regards to the abnormal procedure. So now we go into facts, options, risk, benefit, decision, etc., etc. So facts. For that we have to calculate the landing distance requirements. That's one of the biggest facts we need to find out first of all. So we've got rain. Let me go with medium. Well, actually, let's go medium poor. When ready, descent level 110, proceed juice, and then Avaki, expect the art of 10. Right, so we're not quite there yet. So 110, and we're proceeding to juice, and then Avaki. Acknowledge. Good. I'll calculate medium poor just in case we have a lot more rain than we are anticipating. So we are on the safe side that way. The wind is 07015. Temperature is 32. And the QNH is 1023. Come on. 2, 3. There we go. The landing weight. Hey, mathematics, how are you doing? No, there's no way to auto seal a leak, Irish Wheels. So once you have a leak and a big leak in the hydraulic system, that's it. So 60. Let's put 60.5 in here. So unfortunately, that's it. It's gone. Now, we are going to select a failure. So hydraulics. Green system low pressure, single failure. So we selected that. We have to go manual brakes, max manual, flaps full, manual landing, auto thrust off. We'll do no reverse or idle reverse, so we don't have any credit for that. And it's runway 10. So interestingly enough, medium poor, no landing. Medium, no landing. Good to medium. Yeah, that's where we have, in a case of emergency, we can just take the landing distance required. So we need good, medium, so RCC M4. So runway condition 4 or better. to do a landing there. So I would call the tower, get a quick reading, and so they would tell me it's 5, all good, so we can land. Right, I'm going to start our ascent here. So we've got speed, descent, up blue, 110. No, so Irish Wheels, I mean, you know, the engineers, the Airbus engineers and Boeing engineers the same. When they construct an aircraft, and with regards to hydraulics, electrics, lead system, etc., they make sure that they have a backup plan in case one of the system leaks. So these 3 systems are completely autonomous. There is no direct linkage. Well, there is, but not for normal operations. That's more for mechanical things. So if you have a leak in one of those systems, it will not transfer to any of the other systems. In theory. Yes, we've had situations in the past where, let's say, an engine failure caused a loss of 2 systems out of 3, or even, I remember that MD-11, or was that DC-10? I think it was DC-10 in the US, where they actually lost all the hydraulics. But that is a extremely rare case. Yeah, United 232. How do you know that, Declank? You memorized that. Blimey. And so, yeah, that obviously can happen. Right, so yeah, pan. Windmill 711 has hydraulic failure inbound to St. Maarten. So that is copied. Descent level 70. Direct Avaki and hold. So let's go direct Avaki. Insert. And the Avaki has a holding pattern, obviously. So let's check that out.
Good night.
Lilo, good night to you. Take care. So we got Avaki inbound 095 right turns. So we click on Avaki, hold 095 right turns, insert. And that looks the way it should. I am going to start decelerate. Well, not yet. No, we shouldn't be wasting time with this failure. So we shouldn't hurry things, but we shouldn't really waste time also. I mean, it is a serious issue. Good. So, we've done our landing calculations, and we determined that yes, obviously we can land in St. Maarten regarding landing distance. Now we look at options. So we would get the weather for different airports. We would see which airports we could reach, which options we have. And normally you have like 2 or 3 different airports available. Hey, Nico. That fulfill your landing criteria. So you have a landing distance criteria. You have a approach minimum criteria. So in our case, it's a Cat 3 single approach minimum criteria. And so all the airports around us have that fulfilled. So that's not the issue. So landing distance, approach minimas, and then we can consider things like passenger handling, maintenance, and those sort of things. And so in a 2-cockpit or 3-cockpit environment, we would gather these facts. And then, for example, as a captain, I would tell my first officer, okay, these are the facts. So have a quick think about which airport you would choose and why. All right? I'm not going to say anything first, because if I say something like, "Ooh, I prefer St. Maarten," as a captain, well, that makes it very difficult for the first officer to voice maybe a different opinion, right? So that's why me as a captain, I will not say my thoughts, you know, or my decision. I will wait and see what the first officer or the senior first officer, what kind of inputs they may have. Because maybe they've got some idea or some, you know, some interesting facts and figures that I didn't consider. Oh yeah, the A300 over Baghdad. Yeah, that's also one of those issues. Yeah, total hydraulic failure. Yeah. Right, so the first officer says, well, we've considered everything, and we're only 30 miles out from St. Maarten. Fuel is fine for 2 or 3 approaches there. Actually, more like three or 4. So my first choice would be St. Maarten. And then I would say, yeah, that's exactly my thought. Runway's long enough, weather is okay. It's not brilliant, but it's fine. So, yeah, we'll proceed to St. Maarten. So, next, then, is the execution. So we made the decision, now comes the execution. So we do all the preparations for the approach. So we prepare normally for the approach. So all that's missing now is the minimum for the art of approach, which is, we'll take this one here, 700 feet. RatNav, anything that we can put in here. It's an art of approach, so don't need to put in a V or R. So that's fine. And we have no auto brake, so that's the manual braking. Good. Prepare the cabin. Now that's something you can do also in the status phase of the whole procedure. So if you have a major issue where I would say, ooh, it may be a good idea to prepare the cabin and the passengers for a abnormal landing. In this case, with just one hydraulic failure, normal approach speeds, braking available, I would not prepare the cabin for a emergency landing. I would make an announcement, explain what's happening, but it'll be a normal landing, so no preparations needed. So speed to 10 is acknowledged. Good. Also, in real life, what I would normally do, I'll get a piece of paper out, and I would then write down things for normal approach and then for the abnormal approach. So what issues did we encounter, or do we encounter? So we'll call up the status page again, and so gravity extension. Let's get the checklist out for the gravity extension. Let me just fetch that. Then we have flaps and slat slow, so make sure that we take the time to prepare in time. And then maybe prior to extending the landing gear, I would ask the tower for the landing clearance. So I would talk to the tower and I would say, hey, we have an issue. If you lower the landing gear, we can't retract it anymore. So I'm going to wait until you tell me the runway is clear and no more takeoff and landings are going to be performed prior to my landing. Rhinoceros, I would normally tell them what's going on. So I would say that we have lost one of our hydraulic systems, one of the 3, but we've done a procedure, and since we have 2 more hydraulic systems available, it's not a major issue, and we're just going to, maybe fly 1 or 2 holding patterns to prepare for the approach, and then we'll do a normal landing, estimated landing time in about 15 minutes. That's what I would tell them. The thing is, so join the hold. When gear down and locked, you're ready for the approach. Descend 2,600. Roger. So actually, let me just level off here. So we're going to level 4,000. There we go, 4,000. Kinetics set 1023. So we'll join the hold, and then once we're ready, we'll descend further. Landing gear, gravity extension checklist. Wonderful. All right, cool. So, and then I would say I would have a little note for landing. So, landing. What issues do we have? We have no reverse on engine 1. We only have backup braking, which is not a problem because we still have anti-skid available. So nothing major there either. And only part of the spoilers will come out. So there will be some unusual spoiler indication. So we're ready for that. There we go, just entering the hold here. Now, missed approach, very important. Missed approach, go around flaps. So we will retract the flaps from full to 3, but non-standard gear remains down. So we won't touch the landing gear lever. It will remain down. And then we just climb up to our missed approach altitude of 4,000 feet. And then we'll go back to the holding and prepare for another approach. Remaining fuel at the moment, we have about an hour of extra fuel remaining. However, once the landing gear is down, it's about only half an hour extra fuel. So that fuel flow is pretty much doubled. Right, so that's all the considerations. I would put that down, brief it, and then once my crew is happy, I would say, all right, let's do it. So, landing gear gravity extension. So, gravity extension, gear handle, hand crank, pull and turn. Rotate the handle clockwise 3 turns until reaching the mechanical stop. Even if resistance is felt, yeah, rotate. So we'll do that. It's always difficult to get the click spot correct. Where is it? Blimey, where's that click spot? There it is. Right, so then we go turn with the mouse wheel. 1, 2, 3. And we just have unlock gear doors coming open. So you will see the gear doors remain open. And they are huge. I've seen them on the ground. Maintenance had opened them. They are huge doors. So they do cause a lot of resistance as well. Good. Then, landing gear lever down. And the landing gear should be confirmed in the down position in the following reasons. So blah, blah, blah. So we got 3 green triangles. So that is definitely locked down. Indications available to check. We have them available. It is checked. And if successful, do not reset the landing gear gravity extension. So do not reset the freefall system. And that's it. That's all we need to do for the gravity gear extension. Right. ECAM. We have landing gear doors not closed. Max speed 250 knots. Very important. So we don't damage any of the landing gears. The fuel consumption is increased. Well, yes, it is. FMS predictions unreliable, of course, because the FMS does not have the fuel predictions for that failure. Cassiopeia, we have our own weather, so the scenario comes with a weather file. So it is pretty marginal. Right, gear not uplock, max speed to 80, fuel consumption increased. Well, the more limiting is to 50. Clear landing gear. So 280, fuel consumption increased, FMS prediction unreliable. Copied.
Good night.
Clear landing gear.
Black box.
Hey Lee, good night, take care. So, status is checked. Fuel consumption increased, that's new, and 250 max, all good. Remove status. We are ready for the approach, so let's descend 2,600, and then we're ready for the approach. Flaps 1, speed is checked. Flaps 1. Status popped up again. There's nothing new. Remove status. Activate the approach phase, it is active. So, Avaki 2600. After Avaki, we'll descend 1700 to the final approach point, Lesor, and that's where the final descent starts. So, we're going to go direct to Avaki now. Start the approach. .6 tons. And as mentioned before, the weather is such dynamic, or is so dynamic that with these rain showers, you may or may not see the approach or the runway lights. So be ready mentally for a missed approach. Christoph, it's not just a scenario tool. It's a fantastic tool where you can practice your landings, approaches, lots of stuff. Right, speed 180. Expect approach clearance shortly. All right, flaps 2. Speed is checked. Flaps 2. So, so that is the tool. It's called FSI panel, and again, you can use that for any airport. Lots of different aircraft types here in Max Flight Sim, and depending on what the aircraft has to offer, here, for example, you can do manual failures, you can fail circuit breakers, lots of stuff. It's a fantastic tool, absolutely. I made a video on that, I think, on my YouTube channel, if you're interested, some time back. At the moment, there's like 6 scenarios, but the developer is currently working on a little tool that helps people create their own scenarios very easily. Right, leave hold, clear the island of 10. Roger. We'll do so. That needs to be... Good, so approach checklist. Barbara Ref, QH1023. Seatbelts. Yeah, that should be on. Right, this should be on as well. Then we've got seatbelts on, minimum bar row 700 feet. Auto brake is off. It's not working. And the engine mode selector is normal. And that's the approach checklist completed. Okay, we are crossing Avaki, so I'll start to descend down to our final approach altitude. And since we are cleared for the approach, we're going to go flaps 3.
2,500.
It's checked, flaps 3. Again, we're taking a little bit more time because the flaps and slats do go a bit slower. We'll arm the speed brakes, yeah. You can arm that now, gear's already down. And flaps full. So part of the spoilers are working. Yeah, so you do arm the spoilers, absolutely. Ugh, that weather. Hey, Swiss Tony, how you doing? So, quick recap of the missed approach. In case we don't see anything at the minimums, map on, we go turn right, direct to on-bet, and we climb 4,000. Out star. We are inbound to the final approach point. Clear to land 10, runway is wet. 070 at 15, acknowledge. Approach nav, final blue. Let's keep fingers crossed that we see the runway later on. Yeah, the rain sound is fantastic. I agree. Landing checklist. ICA memo landing, no blue. Landing checklist completed. So we're just going to monitor now the descent phase. The blue arrow indicates that the descent is armed. So I don't see any reason why it shouldn't engage. And final approach. Missed approach, 4,000 is set. Oh, we might be unlucky. That rain shower is like right at the minimums. So, can we cross-check anything? 2 miles, 1340. 2 miles, 1340. Right on the dot. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. No, that shower is just right in the, at the minimums. Oh. Well, we'll see. I think, the way the shower is located, and the minimum is at 700 feet. Ooh, it's going to be a tough one.
1,000.
Yeah, 1,000 is checked. We're stable. We're keeping our eyes peeled. Oh no! I just saw a little bit of the beach. Oh, 100 feet to go.
Above.
Oh no! Oh no! I just as I thought.
Minimum.
Right, go around. Flaps, speed check. Flaps 3. Mantoga, SRS, climb blue, nav. Now, we said gear remains down. Flaps 1, speed is checked. Flaps 1, we've got thrust climb, open climb, out blue, 4,000. The passengers will be like, hey, what's going on? There's the runway. Didn't you see the runway? No, we didn't, unfortunately. So, and that's what I mean. Right at the minimums, we didn't see the runway. It was just afterwards. Flap 0, speed check, flap 0. So after we did the go around, that's when we saw the runway. Okay, so I'll go and contact ATC. I'll tell them, hey, could you give us radar vectors again for a downwind? Because we don't really have too much time to waste, and a level off at 3,000 feet. So they would have proved that. And there we go. Look at that. You could be lucky, right? And you could see the runway, no problem. And then you can be unlucky, like we were. Good, fuel check, 3 tons. So, performance, activate the approach phase again. And then we're going to go to Avaki once we are a little bit closer in. Although, yeah, just thinking about whether or not to go 1700 and do a shorter approach. I mean, we are over water, so there's no terrain issue. Well, that's a question. So Marwan, that's a very good question. He asks, are you allowed to disregard minimums when you're on final reserve? Well, I mean, it's a very theoretical question, but at some point, if you're facing, disregarding a minimum and then potentially risk, hitting an obstacle, or run out of fuel and have ditched the aircraft, well, what's safer? Ditch the aircraft and, you go below minimums that way as well, or you go below minimums pretty sure with the accuracy that you have that you're not far from the runway, and, you have a pretty good chance of seeing the runway further down. So, again, it's a very theoretical question. Flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. And I don't want to, give advice on that. The captain or the crew, they're the ones that have to make that call in the end. Flaps 2, speed is check, flaps 2. I'm going to go down to 1700 feet. Status, let's check, make sure everything's still the same. Yeah, nothing new. Remove status. Well, I mean, let me ask you this, guys. So, with this weather, what do you think? How do you see the chances of actually seeing the runway?
2,500.
Yes, checked. Low. Well, actually, I don't see it as being that bad. Remember that when we did the go-around, we had a clear view of the runway and pretty much half of the island. So we have strong showers, which are very kind of pinpointed at some, a very kind of, smaller area, and there's bigger areas that are free from these rain showers. So I don't see it as being that critical. Outstart. Right. Approach nav, final blue. Goat friend, yes. Yes, that's a good point as well. So in real life, you would have a weather radar. You would see how many cells you have, and that would help you decide how critical the situation is. Yeah. Have you ever tried landing on Madeira Island? Well, in the sim, yes. In real life, no. I'm not qualified in real life. At least at my company, you need special qualifications to do so. Well, we were unlucky on the first approach. Oops. I mean, if we had been there at the minimums, let's say 3 minutes later, I think we would have seen the runway, because the wind is coming from the east. So those rain showers are, that would have been blown out further, and I think we would have actually seen the runway. Well, Astur, that's the part of the whole scenario that you have to decide for yourself. The problem is the calculations are completely useless now, because we have a landing gear that cannot be raised. I mean, you could do some basic math, look at your fuel flow, determine your speed, the ground speed, and how many minutes it would take you to get back to the other airport or the alternate airport. And then from there, flaps 3, and then from there you could maybe decide to try the other airport. But the decision was made earlier on regarding our continuation. So final approach. So it's I don't right now. Yes, right now we're committed to St. Maarten. I would agree with that. Yeah. So, but that decision was made earlier on, and that's why it's so crucial to go through your complete procedure, and then try to make a safe decision, or the safest decision that you could possibly do in this scenario. Alright, landing checklist. EKMM and landing no bloom. Let's try again. Let's all pray. Keep fingers crossed.
1,000.
1,000 is checked.
Hundred above.
Oh boy.
Minimum.
Go around. Flaps. Mantoga, SRS, NAF, all thrust blue. Gear remains down. Wow. Look at that. Look at that! How unlucky! It's all clear! Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. The other runway, I don't see... Well, we can have a look at the minimums, but I don't think the other runway is really an option. Flap 0. But normally, yes, you would look at the other option as well. So let's stop climb 3000 again. And let's go heading downwind. What do you mean? Regarding 100-foot rule regarding minimum? I know there's airlines that add, or pilots that tell their pilots to add to the minimums. But our company already does that. So when it publishes the official minimums for the pilots, it already has those 50 feet or 100 feet additional. Well, there's only circling, so there's no other approach. There's only straight in for 1-0 and then visual circling. But I mean, 700 feet, if you don't see anything there, it doesn't really make sense to circle. Right. Fuel, 2.6 tons. Status, nothing new. Performance, activate approach phase. Hey Blanche, well, we have a green hydraulic failure. So it's a scenario from the FSI panel. It's the newest training scenario, which I find nice and interesting. So we'll go again with a laser. That looked quite good. We'll descend 1700. Lord, you're right. Zulu. Yeah, okay, so that depends on operator policy. I'm pretty sure that for us, we would not have a VOR approach that has a lower minimum than an RNF approach. So for us, that VOR approach would have 770 feet minimum.
2,500.
Right. But for now, we'll stick with the RNF approach. Flaps 1, speed is checked. Flaps 1. Status is checked. Marvin, I can't show you right now because we're in the training scenario, but the app comes with several training scenarios, and I'll show them to you after we finish this one. Andre, I mean, that's for you as the pilot in command to decide what's the safer course of action. Right now, we have fuel for roughly about 45-50 minutes. So right now, I don't see, a reason to start doing anything silly, like go below minimums, etc., etc. Well, normally, so Avenger. Well, normally, yeah, you would obviously, when you make your decision model, you would all look at different airports, and you would choose that one that has the highest probability of you actually being able to land there. So you wouldn't really mess about, the way that we've done here. But this is just a training scenario, and it's supposed to, it's supposed to keep you on your toes, right? It's supposed to be interesting, and. But yeah, if you feel like, you want to do this training scenario differently, and you want to, consider maybe an airport nearby, well, then sure, why not? So, approach mode is armed. Approach, final blue. Status, nothing new. Astur, that has to do with the Fenix current engine model. So, so the fuel burn is off anyways. So it has more a fuel burn of a Neo, and that's because the Microsoft A320 model is based on the Neo. So Fenix is currently working on their own engine model and their own, engine fuel values, the power settings, etc., etc. So they are working on it. Yeah, but right now, this is of course not realistic, no. St. Bart's, yeah, sure. No. Right, I have a good feeling about third approach, guys. I can already see a bit of a coastline there. I have a good feeling. Come on, you can do this. Flaps 3, speed is checked, flaps 3. Nope. Disregard, autopilot 1. And flaps 4, speed is checked. Flaps 4, final approach. Ah, that looks better. Yeah. And this is really one of those things I really love about Microsoft Flight Sim. You have a true dynamic weather. Look at that. Same approach, same thing, and now we have runway clearly visible in sight. How cool is that? So landing checklist, ECMIM on landing no blue. So now it's all about our flying skills. 4,000 Mr. Approach is set. Let's go manual thrust. Well, look at this. Look, that's what I mean. That's really like in real life. You have a bigger shower, and that moves off, and you're all good.
1,000.
1,000 check. 2 red, 2 white on path. Landing checklist has been completed. Man your flight. Flight directors off. Bird on. So, I'm going to concentrate now on landing this bird.
100 above.
Yeah, runway's inside. 25 knots, a little bit from the left.
Minimum.
Continue. Right, idle reverse will take and max manual braking. Until we're sure that we're going to come to a stop. Right, slightly low, correcting.
500.
90 knots of wind. Cow on the runway. Get out of here. Alpha.
400. 300. 200.
Oh, you guys. Right.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 5.
Right, idle reverse, manual brakes. Completely unrealistic. It's raining cats and dogs and there's people on the beach. Well, I mean, it's 30 degrees, so maybe... Right, so backtrack is approved. Taxi Alpha 3 via Charlie. Well, I wasn't caring about butter, to be honest. It was about safe landing. Well, cool. I really love the weather effects. That is very, very cool. And it makes just everything a little bit more exciting. And look at that. Next rain showers moving in. Yeah, Nicolas, thanks for watching. Eagle Motion, thanks for watching. Yeah, have a great weekend. Well done, thank you much. Yeah, Aviator, again, this is one of the big strong points of Microsoft Flight Sim. The only other sim that I've noticed that simulates that is DCS. I've not noticed any other dynamic change right now. I'm not even sure if X-Plane has that. It may have. Right, let me just slow down here. Airport. So Charlie, the third one down. And then Alpha 3. And that's this one here. Okay. So, my co-pilot has already done a couple of the items, started the APU. Done that. So that comes from the FSI panel, guys, by the way. So you have the option if you want. Under options, you can select a virtual co-pilot here from the FSI panel to do that for you. So X-Plane 12 should do it. But yeah. He did. He got the predicted wind shear off, but not the radar. Right, look at that. That change in weather again. Look, we were lucky there. We had an opening. It was almost, the sun was almost shining there. Oh, hold on. Let me try something. Jeez. Oh, come on, I did start it. Thank you. Oh, there we are. Just looking for the marshaller. Now I see him or her. Drax, well, glad you enjoyed the sandwich. So, APU bleed on. Cut the engines. 1, 2. So we're about 30% N2, 10% N1. And then we'll switch off the beacon. And normally we'd wait for all the slides to be disarmed. And then we switch off the seatbelts. Parking checklist. Parking brakes are chocks. Park brake is set. Engines off. Wing lights off. And the fuel pumps are off. Parking checklist completed. Well done. We've made it. And you can see the gear doors. Look how close they are to the ground. And again, they are just huge. Yeah, they do, solid wings. So 320, 319, oval wings normally stay armed. There's no manual deselection of that. Yeah, it feels Rain Man. Well, I mean, even though it's raining like crazy, look at that. They're still partying. Lol. You're gonna love that. Oh dear. Right, let's go live weather. Let's see what it actually looks like in real live at the moment. Like, oh, hang on. Let's reset. Well, yeah, that's more like it, isn't it? Captain HMW, thank you much for watching. Yeah, this is much better. That's better, right? There we go. Normal UK beach, lol, yeah. But not at 31 degrees. Blimey. Oh, let me check that link. Oh, the rain. Yeah, you're right. The rain.
Good night, Black Box.
Mahu Beach Cam. Oh, lovely. Oh, it's actually getting dark there already. Nice. Right, my dear friends, thank you so much. We're on the stream here. Thank you so much for being so patient with me today. I'm sorry for the issues we had in P3D. Rather disappointing, but that is just the way it is sometimes. Next stream is on Monday. Can you explain the training? What do you mean? Which part, Marvin? Gabriel, thank you. Robbie, thank you. Bob, yeah, good night. Have a great weekend. Lord, those sounds. Oh yes, sorry, of course. So when you go into the FSI panel, let me just get back in the cockpit, it's a bit quiet. So when you go into the FSI panel, you go to training scenarios. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 training scenarios available at the moment. So I demonstrated the short trip over Switzerland. that was an interesting failure I developed with the FSI panel crew, and that is a failure where you are ending up with pretty much raw data indications. So I think that's FMGC 1 and 2 failure or something. So very interesting failure. And you have a Caribbean short trip. That is also interesting failure. Blocked runway, etc., etc. So then you have a nice RNF RMP approach into Washington, D.C. It gives you the ditching in Hudson River as a... Actually, have I tried that? I've never tried that, have I? That's interesting. No, so I did those two, actually those three now. So I did Caribbean short trip, I did short trip over Switzerland, I did this one. So these are the latest ones. But I've not done this one. I'm curious. So let me just... I don't have scenery for... LaGuardia. Threshold 04. I'm curious. No, the Hudson River. Let me just go main menu. I don't know. I don't think I've tried that. LaGuardia, and we're going 04. Fly. Let's try that. Yeah, and I'm curious. So, start the FSI panel, select I2, set 0 fuel, WTG, takeoff flap speeds, check source set, follow strict ATC instructions. Okay. It also gives you some good tips there regarding APU, green dot, core brace for impact, and then target 11 degrees, not higher. So we'll take training scenarios, start training. So now the FSI panel is doing our preparations. Let me set live weather. I'm not sure what departure route they flew back then. It's just climb 5,000, heading 360. Okay. Well, then it doesn't matter. You don't have to set anything there. But I do... What do I need for weights? Doesn't really matter, does it? So, mass and balance. We're just going to take some values here. We'll take that, a bit of cargo, fuel, load. Instant. Right. Okay, so what was the weights though? That was 57.5, 31.5. 0.4, that's good. I'm just wondering if it's actually simulating. It doesn't simulate the birds, does it? I mean, visually. They probably did flaps 1 takeoff, 44, 1600 there, speeds, let's put 140, 142, 144, push down 0.1. And then acknowledge. So clear takeoff, climb 5000, heading 360. 2992. Well, pretty much what we have here as well. Alright, cool. Acknowledge. Ready. Let's go. That's all be interesting. Well, I'm interested to see how the aircraft behaves. Manflex 44, SAS, runway auto thrust blue. Thrust set. Knots. U1, rotate. Wow, there's a lot of wind from the left. Blimey. Pause rate, gear up. MAF. Good, so autopilot heading north. So we have Manflex 44 stall, SRS, climb, and heading. Oh yeah, look at that. Chris, we are using the FSI panel to simulate the Hudson River incident, because it has a training scenario for that. And I'm using my real-world checklist called EMA landing all engine failure. Thrust climb, up climb. Alright, you can see the river there. Yeah, we did depart LaGuardia, 04, just like the real aircraft, yeah. Yeah, no worries, all good. So we are still struggling to climb up. Currently on flaps 1 still. Now we can imagine how quickly that departure went. Look how quickly we are... Oh, thrust loss. 1 engine. So we got engine failed 2. Right, Toga consider. Yeah, other engine looks fine. Let's do Toga on the other engine. Climb 5000. Oh, there we go. That's both engines out. Command flight. Pitch down. We have to pitch down the aircraft. Flight thrusters off. Bird on. Right, mayday, mayday, mayday. Both engines out. Now the thing is that we weren't able to retract the flaps. We weren't high enough. So, EMA landing, all engine failure, start procedure.
Stall.
Disregard. Although, yeah, we should have been in flaps 0 config, so... let's go flaps 2, speed is check, flaps 2. APU start. And Sully did that really well. I can't even start the APU for some reason. Oh, there we go. Now it's starting. How many tries was that? 3 or 4? Right. Flaps lever 2, V approach determine. So with that weight, we should be around about 155 knots.
Stall, stall. Stall, stall.
Right. So 11 degrees, pitch, brace, 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 obviously. And I would have touched down already. Right. Let me try that again, because I do want to go to flap 0. Although I don't know in real life what they had, flap 0 or not. Oh, that must have been very terrifying. No joke. So, you can understand from that dynamic situation, they didn't have much time, did they? And even though they were like in complete shock, losing both engines, Captain Sully remembered to switch on the APU, and back then, that action was actually further down the checklist. So he actually went over the normal procedures, and with his command authority, he decided to start the APU, which probably saved them all, really. So yeah, so the problem is it could be that this version simulates the RAT minimum speeds. So if you don't fly at least like 140 knots, the RAT will not provide enough electrical power to the system. So maybe that was one of the issues we had. So I do want to get to a cleanup. So I'm going to try to manually accelerate a little bit faster, so keep the pitch down a bit more. And maybe make the aircraft a little bit lighter. Just a tad. Yeah, it doesn't react immediately. So normally, well, I mean, the real aircraft as well, you have to wait about 3 seconds before you press that on button. The reason is the whole electronic control unit has to start up, right? And so there's no point in going on. It will not work, right? This is armed about 3 seconds after you put that to on. That's just the way it is. Right, so let's get rid of the ground stuff there. So how much are we weighing now? We're weighing 55.3, 30.9. Also back then, pilots didn't really train dual engine failure near the ground. So we did practice engine failure at higher altitudes, but we didn't really do that at lower altitudes. So that's also something where you just have to, you know, say hats off to how the crew performed there. 155, okay. Right, so let's do that again. That's good. Takeoff test is good. Get rid of that. Lights are on. Okay. Right. Let's try again. That's. I mean, I'm interested. Well, I'll answer that question in a few minutes. Yo. Okay. Thrust set. Manflex 40S has runway auto thrust blue. And aviation, hey. Or 004 Aviation. Addons is checked. V1, rotate. Right, pause that, gear up. NAF. So I'm going to pull heading 360, but again, I'm going to just wait until 500 feet. And there we go, heading. Going to accelerate in a minute. Man, there we go. So thrust climb, SRS climb, auto thrust. See, that's a runway. They've just departed that. 360. Hold on. Right, up climb, S speed, flap 0, speed is checked, flap 0. Right, that's better. Autopilot on. Speed going to 50. So maybe that was one of the issues then with the training scenario. Where we were too early at 5,000 feet and too slow. And that's a lot of energy that's obviously missing. So, beautiful weather. Look at that. Oh, there we go. So, engine 2 fail. So, it's going back to the green dot, which is fine. There we go, engine 2 fail. Engine mode selected, ignition start. And then thrust lever number 2 idle. Now we would do that normally, but I think they had pretty much... There we go. Man the flight, loss of thrust on both engines. Pitch down, you need to maintain green dot speed, that's really critical. And then we'll start the APU. Bird on. So I'm going to try to regain green dot. And normally we'd see the rats drop out. There it is.
Could new subscribers
Turning.
please make their way to the first class cabin, where complimentary drinks, snacks, and premium flight infotainment will be served. Thank you.
Come on, APU. Yeah, so that's a bug here in the Fenix as well. Come on. Finally. So you can see that Captain Sully knew immediately from the way the aircraft descended that you would not be able to reach any airport. So we go through the list. Right, disregard. Flaps lever 2. There we go. Flaps 2. Once the APU spools up, we should get hydraulic back. At least for the slats. And then the approach determine about 155 knots. For flaps 2, that is.
1,000.
There we go. Now, if we cheat, we shouldn't do this really, but if we put the helic pump on, we'll get the flaps out as well. Through the PTU. Now, I'm not supposed to do that anymore, but it does help a lot. Right, emergency cancel. Let's just bleed off the speed. Now, this is quite nice. So this is actually quite realistic. Where you have some of the flaps out. Drag isn't too great, so you do have some time. Right. Brace, or brace for impact, whatever your call is. And then, yeah, you just keep it, you know, nice and steady, nice and level. And the pitch was 11 degrees, so maintain the speed. Don't get too slow. And that is something, obviously, that's difficult to do, right? So then we go, try to go as little as possible. 11 degrees, not more than that.
30, 20, retard.
Retard, lol. There we go. Right, at touchdown, all engine masters off. And one thing we did forget, though, that was very important. That's what the crew forgot as well. And that's something that's so easy to forget. The ditching push button should be on to seal up all of the vents and to prevent the water coming in at the rear of the aircraft. Lol. I love it. How come the landing gear is down? Huh? That should be the landing gear's up. Yeah, that's a bit surprising. Right, anyways. But, you see that here? That's the outflow valve. So by pressing that ditching push button to on, that closes, and that just prevents the water getting in, or at least delays that. And then you would have the evac procedure apply. So, I mean, you go through the list, but literally, that's a very short deal because aircraft right stopped. Park brake disregard, ATC is notified, cabin crew alert, right? So we would first go attention crew and station, and then, well, check 0 for the cabin pressure disregard, all masters off, all engine fire push button. Now, this is really just to make sure that everything's switched off, including APU in this case, and then evacuation required, not required. Well, of course, we are in water, it is required. There is no, other option in this case. So yeah, we would then initiate the evacuation. So passenger evacuation, passenger evacuation. Yeah, the spoilers will not. The spoilers, even though they are armed, they wouldn't extend because the landing gear is up. So there's no, wheel spin up, etc., etc. So the spoilers would definitely not be up. They would be down, and the landing gear, like I said, I don't know why. Maybe it's a Microsoft thing where it just doesn't simulate, the ditching. So for some reason, it puts the landing gear out. Because we did raise it, the landing gear was raised for sure, and we never put it down. So there's no automatic extension unless you have gravity extension. But we didn't touch that either, so the landing gear should be up. Right. Well, I mean, apart from that, the interesting thing really for me again is how little time they had. And the horror to understand you're not going to make it back to an airport, and it was winter time. It was freezing cold. Right? And so to quickly consider and actually accept the fact that you'll be in the Hudson River with all the consequences, and not knowing how the ditching will actually go, because how often did an airliner ditch in the water? All right, and not very often successfully, that's for sure. So, all that going through your mind and not kind of locking you up in your thoughts. So kind of that startle effect. Hats off. Yeah, again, I mean, that was an amazing achievement by the crew. And again, everyone survived. That is absolutely mind-boggling. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, Gabriel. Yeah, so, I mean, another thing is the following. So if you're in this scenario, so Captain Sully took over control because he would be the only one having displays in this case, right? So Emir Elek, once you lose both engine-driven generators, you will get Emir Elek until the rat comes out, and then at least only the captain will have his flight displays. So, of course, he would take over control, And he said also my radios. So that freed up the workload for the first officer to completely concentrate on the checklist, all engine fail checklist. And again, back then the checklist was a lot longer, and it actually had a restart procedure. So imagine they actually tried to restart the engines on their way down, which is extremely distracting for one. The other thing is, you would need either a windmilling speed of, let's say, 300 knots, or you would need APU bleed to start the engine, both of which they didn't have at the time. So, the checklist had kind of items in them that were completely useless and just a waste of time at this altitude. So they kind of scaled down the whole checklist, and so all that it has is two options if you have all engine failure at low altitude, and that is either ditching, so in water, or a forced landing on land. These are your two options. And so one of the first points is APU start. That's the first action you're going to do, and it doesn't matter if it's ditching or forced landing. Difference now, if you ditch the aircraft, the landing gear remains up. If you do a forced landing, the landing gear will be down later on. In both cases, you're going to land with flaps 2. You determine the approach speed, which is a very simple table. So let's say for 50 tons, 150 knots. For 60 tons, 163 knots. And then for the ditching, you would put the ditching push button on. While if it's a forced landing on land, you leave that as is, but you arm the spoilers on land. And then at 1,000 feet for the forced landing on land, you would put the landing gear down by gravity extension. And both cases, 500 feet or below, brace for impact, announce. And then for the flare, ditching, minimum vertical speed, pitch 11 degrees target. And for the land, it's just minimum vertical speed. And then at touchdown, all engine masters off, APU master switch off, and then apply the EMA evac procedure. So there's no items anymore that asks the pilot to do an engine relight, because they realized at these low altitudes it's just literally impossible to relight an engine in this case. Flight control was fine. Alternate law. The landing gear is up in the ditching part, so you would remain in alternate law. Auto trim would be working. And let me just have a look. Yeah, and once the rat is out, you have electric power to the major parts of the aircraft. So yeah, there was one exactly. So there was an Ural Airlines A321 that ditched actually that forced landing, dual engine failure on land, and they also did a fantastic job. Absolutely brilliant. Hats off to them as well. Absolutely brilliant. To be honest, I sometimes when I take off from certain airfields, so for example Frankfurt, I look outside the front and hang on, let me just right. Then I look outside the front and just trying to find a field where I could do a forced landing if you had dual engine failure. And so sometimes that's actually pretty difficult to achieve. Right, there we go. That's what I wanted. So there was one question regarding toilets. So if the forward toilet is blocked and the pilot had to go, well, I mean, it's one of those things, isn't it? Are you gonna, you know, run all the way back to the aft toilets? Are you gonna wait patiently? Now, normally that is not an issue. I mean, you would not have to go that quickly, right? I mean, pilots are good at managing their toilet breaks. So normally, unless you have some sort of illness, diarrhea or something, suddenly, then yeah, I mean, you know, that's a very unlikely case. Lol. So very theoretical. Oh, that's better. Right, cool. That was a nice demonstration as well. So if you haven't heard of the FSI panel yet, it does work with a very wide selection of aircraft add-ons. So so right now, it works with the Mad Dog, the PNDG, the Fly-by-Wire, the Fenix, the Inibuilds, A310, and the CRJ from Aerosoft. So many aircraft it works with. And here in the Fenix, obviously, if you select failures, you can actually pop certain circuit breakers. So it's called the FSI panel. And so you can mess about with all kinds of stuff there and see what happens to the aircraft. So if I go FCU1, just double click that, fail now, and I just heard it pop. So FCU1, I think it was, just pop, and you have the fun time of trying to find it. But so yeah, all the green ones normally should... Oh, there it is. So there's popped. You can see the white collar there. Yeah, also, I mean, you know, if you want, what you can do is put yourself on the runway. So let's say you want to do an approach somewhere. Oh yeah, absolutely. So we just heard the warnings in the background, and but it depends on your level of workload. You may also just not even hear that because it's so saturated, task saturated, that your hearing literally goes. Yeah, I'll just go quick demonstration of a position reset in the Fenix, for example, because people quite often, they don't quite understand or read through the manual, so they don't quite understand what is happening. So right now with JFK, right, so we start the FSI panel. So it noticed that we are in Kennedy 13 right. And I'm going to put the aircraft at the right-hand base. But I want to do the following first. Just put some weight in there and some fuel. So mass and balance. And again, just a couple of values there. So a bit of passengers, a bit of cargo, and a bit of fuel. Right, instant. Cool. Then you would set up your values later. So now I'm going to just select the base, right-hand base. Now, if you wanted to, you could simply look at the approach chart and select a fix. Right? You can make your own custom waypoints, and you can share those waypoints with others. But for now, let's just take that, move the aircraft. So it says, put the altitude to 2,600 feet. heading 200. Speed 200. And then put the thrust levers to the climb notch.
Terrain ahead.
So
Pull
now
up.
you need to give the aircraft its time. It's moving forward. It doesn't have... So the Fenix doesn't allow for active pause. But don't worry. The FSI panel programs everything now for you. And once it's finished, it'll reset the aircraft to the initial position. So best thing is just look down and just monitor the programming from the FSI panel. Diego, if you are the FO and you screwed up during landing, hard landing, does the captain speak with you? Well, I mean, if anyone screws up, and you have, you know, the requirement to talk about it, and I would always say that you should, if anything really major happens, so any major mistake, you would need to address that. It's best to just in a quiet moment after landing, after you've parked the aircraft, checklist completed, then just talk about it and analyze what went wrong and what you can do for the next time to make sure it doesn't happen again. But you need to address it. Right, so now everything's finished. What I can do though is I'm just going to enter the weights, alright? So let's say it was 55.30. That's always important. And then hold the brakes for 3 seconds. So holding the brakes. And now it puts us back into the starting point, alright? And there you have it. So now you put the aircraft into that spot. And you can fly an approach from here. Whatever you want to do. So... look at downtown Manhattan. Yeah, and you can do this over and over. So you can do landing training, and you know, practice approaches, practice landings. So you can take the aircraft into a short approach as well. So like a, you know, short final, and just practice your flare and touchdown. So it's a fantastic tool. I can really recommend it. Yeah, of course you can. So you can use your own weather. So you can adjust the visibility. You can adjust the wind. You know, so I can do this. I can now say snow, for example. All right. It's fine, you can do that. So you can practice crosswind landings, for example. Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very, very adjustable. Alright guys, cool. That shall be it for today. Thanks so much again for watching. And I will see you, if you like, on Monday. Back on Monday, 1700 UTC. Have a great weekend, everyone. And a big thank you to my moderators, as always, for all the help, for being here. And thank you for the amazing support that came through with so many resubs. We have new members as well. Thank you so much for all of that. I love you guys. And so, see you soon. Alpha, thank you. Take care, everyone. Good night.